First contact fallout. The shuttle's decontamination sequence completed with a soft hiss as Zartak adjusted his environmental suit. His 3 hearts pulsed in anxious synchrony. After decades of observation, the Galactic Council had finally approved first contact with Earth, and as chief xenobiologist of the Chrysalian Confederacy, he'd been chosen to lead the diplomatic mission. Atmosphere analysis complete, announced the ship's eye. Oxygen levels at 21%. Warning: this atmosphere is highly corrosive to Chrysalian biology. Zartak nodded. He'd studied Earth's caustic oxygen-rich environment extensively. What troubled him more were the contradictions in his research. Humans appeared to be apex predators with endurance capabilities that defied evolutionary logic, yet they'd built a civilization without the usual violent tribal fracturing seen in predator species. Final psychological briefing, Ambassador, said his assistant, Velena. Remember, humans lack the usual prey instincts. They may approach suddenly, maintain eye contact, or bare teeth in what they call a smile. These are not threat displays. So our xenopsychologists claim, Zartak replied, his dermal chromatophores darkening with skepticism. Yet they evolved as pursuit predators with forward-facing eyes and exhibit pack-hunting behaviors. Their history is filled with warfare, which is why we're meeting them on neutral ground with 30 security drones, Velna reassured him. The shuttle doors opened to reveal a gleaming reception hall built specifically for this historic meeting. A small group of humans waited, dressed in formal attire that Zartak found quaintly primitive. At their center stood a female with dark skin and silver-streaked hair who stepped forward as they approached. Ambassador Zartak, I am Dr. Amara Okafor, Earth's diplomatic liaison. On behalf of humanity, welcome to New Geneva. She extended her hand, a gesture Zartak had been briefed on. He reached out reluctantly, his sensitive dermal sensors registering something alarming as they touched. Her body temperature was nearly 37 degrees Celsius, practically feverish by Chrysalian standards. Yet she showed no signs of distress. Your journey was comfortable, I hope, Dr. Okafor asked, showing those disconcerting white teeth. Yes, quite, Zartak managed, releasing her hand quickly. Your atmosphere is as expected. The reception proceeded with formal introductions, but Zartak found himself increasingly distracted by the humans' behaviors. They moved continuously, shifting position, gesturing with their hands, maintaining an unsettling level of alertness despite the peaceful setting. Not once did he observe the stillness that characterized civilized species. During the banquet that followed, a young human male approached Zartak with a tray of drinks. The ambassador reached for one, but the tray tilted unexpectedly. Without thinking, the human performed an impossible feat of dexterity, dropping to one knee while rotating the tray, catching 3 falling glasses with his free hand, and rising again in a fluid motion that would have required extensive training among Chrysalians. Sorry about that, sir, the human said casually, as if he hadn't just demonstrated reflexes that would qualify him as an elite warrior on any council world. Are you security personnel? Zartak asked. The human laughed. Me? No, just a server. Second job while I finish my degree. When Zartak related this incident to Velna, her chromatophores pulsed with concern. Perhaps their gravity gives them advantages we don't understand. Or perhaps, Zartak countered, we've gravely underestimated them. The next day brought a scheduled cultural exchange at what humans called a university. Zartak had requested to observe human physical capabilities firsthand, and Dr. Okafor had arranged a demonstration at the athletics facility. This is our Olympic training center, she explained, leading them into a vast complex where humans were engaged in various exercises. Nothing special, just our amateur athletes preparing for competition. Zartak watched in growing disbelief as humans lifted weights that would challenge Dorjan cargo drones, ran at speeds that rivaled Vex-Terry sprinters, a species specifically evolved for pursuit, and performed acrobatic feats that seemed to defy gravity. These are, Amateurs? He asked carefully. Yes, our university team, Dr. Okafor replied. Would you like to see professionals? Before Zartak could decline, a commotion erupted across the facility. A loading mechanism had failed, and a massive weight rack was collapsing toward an unsuspecting human. Zartak's security drones activated, but before they could respond, 3 nearby humans reacted simultaneously. One shouted a warning. Another launched herself into a rolling dive that carried her beneath the falling structure. The third, a stocky male, actually caught the metal framework with his bare hands, straining visibly but managing to redirect its fall away from the potential victim. The entire incident lasted less than 4 seconds. After medical personnel confirmed no serious injuries, Dr. Okafor apologized profusely for the accident, but Zartak barely heard her words. His analytical mind was racing through implications. The humans had demonstrated coordinated crisis response without communication, sacrificial protective instincts, and raw physical strength that contradicted their frame size. Dr. Okafor, he interrupted, do your people train for such emergencies? Train? She looked confused. No, that was just instinct. People helping people. That evening, Zartak requested access to Earth's historical and cultural archives, a standard diplomatic courtesy. What he found destroyed his remaining composure. Humans ran ultramarathons of over 100 kilometers for recreation. They swam across frigid ocean channels. They climbed sheer rock faces without mechanical assistance, sometimes deliberately without safety equipment in what they called free soloing. Their competitive games involved direct physical collision, projectile interception, and endurance feats that would kill most council species. Most disturbing were their combat sports, ritualized combat for entertainment where participants voluntarily subjected themselves to injury and pain. Ancient gladiatorial contests, boxing, wrestling, something called mixed martial arts, where combatants employed techniques from dozens of fighting systems developed across their planet. Ambassador, you should rest, Velna urged as Zartak scrolled through footage of humans deliberately striking each other with controlled violence. How can I rest? He demanded. These creatures have incorporated extreme violence into recreational activity. They're predators who fight for entertainment. Perhaps it's a cultural outlet that prevents actual aggression, Velna suggested hopefully. The third day brought the incident that confirmed Zartak's growing fears. The delegation had been invited to observe a military training exercise, a gesture of transparency from Earth's governments. At a remote facility, human soldiers demonstrated various capabilities, carefully avoiding displays that might seem threatening. During a routine demonstration, an equipment malfunction caused an unexpected explosion. Shrapnel flew in all directions, including toward the diplomatic viewing area. Zartak's security drones activated protective shields, but not before he witnessed something extraordinary. A female human officer, standing nearby, had reacted before the explosion even finished. She tackled Dr. Okafor and another diplomat to the ground, covering them with her body. A piece of metal embedded itself in her shoulder, but she showed minimal reaction to what should have been debilitating pain. Later, as medical personnel treated her wound, Zartak approached cautiously. You're injured, yet you continue functioning, he observed. How is this possible? The officer shrugged her uninjured shoulder. Adrenaline, I guess. It's not that bad. You risked death to protect others. Anyone would have done the same, she replied, genuinely confused by his fascination. That night, Zartak composed his emergency report to the Galactic Council, bypassing standard diplomatic channels. His dermal chromatophores had settled into a pattern of distressed gray as he dictated. Humanity presents unprecedented classification challenges. Their physical capabilities exceed predictive models by 30 to 40%. More concerning is their uniform protectiveness and disregard for personal safety. Unlike specialized warrior castes in council species, virtually any human can and will engage in protective or aggressive action when provoked. Most alarming is their pain tolerance and injury adaptation. Wounds that would incapacitate Council species are routinely endured. They continue functioning despite trauma that should trigger immediate shock response. I believe Earth evolved not just predators, but persistence predators, creatures who pursued prey to exhaustion before primitive weapons existed. This evolutionary pathway created a species with redundant physiological systems, extraordinary endurance, and psychological resilience that makes conventional threat assessment useless. Furthermore, they translated these traits into cultural practices. Their sports are effectively combat training disguised as recreation. Their emergency services are military operations in civilian contexts. Even their untrained civilians demonstrate protective coordination that rivals our tactical units. Recommendation: humanity must be reclassified as a Class 1 adaptive predator species. All diplomatic personnel must undergo specialized training before contact. Under no circumstances should humans be underestimated based on their technological development level or peaceful demeanor. They are not like us. They do not think like prey species. They have never known fear as we understand it. And I believe they are entirely unaware of how dangerous they truly are. Zartak paused, considering his final assessment. In this species, every civilian is a predator. The galaxy was not ready, and I fear we still are not. The hunting grounds. 6 months after Earth's formal introduction to the Galactic Council, Maya Chen sat in an uncomfortable shuttle seat, reviewing diplomatic briefings. As Earth's deputy ambassador to the Council, she'd been specifically requested for this mission, a ceremonial visit to the Vexteri homeworld to sign mutual research agreements. Approaching Vexteri orbital station, announced the pilot, preparing for docking procedures. Maya nodded absently, focused on her notes. At 34, she represented the new generation of Earth's diplomatic corps, scientists and professionals who'd grown up knowing humanity wasn't alone in the universe. Unlike the first contact team, she took interspecies diplomacy for granted. What she didn't know was that she was being watched. In a secure observation chamber on the orbital station, 7 aliens of different species monitored her shuttle's approach. At their center stood Counselor Saru of the Galactic Security Directorate, his scaled skin shifting colors with his concentration. The human arrives alone, as requested, noted an aide. And the modifications to the station are complete. Saru asked. Yes, Counselor. The environmental systems, communications array, and security protocols have all been adjusted according to Ambassador Zartak's recommendations. Saru nodded, his scales settling into a pattern that indicated satisfaction. Then let the assessment begin. Remember, this is not malice. This is necessary security. If humans truly are what Zartak claims, we must know before we integrate them further into galactic society. The aide hesitated. Sir, if the human is injured during testing, then we will have valuable data, Saru replied coldly. Begin countdown to emergency protocols. Let us see what this predator species does when truly threatened. Maya's first clue that something was wrong came when the docking mechanism engaged with an unexpected jolt, throwing her forward against her restraints. Sorry, Ambassador, called the pilot. Station systems seem a bit uncooperative. She unbuckled and moved to the cockpit, where warning lights flashed across control panels. What's happening? Not sure, the pilot said, fingers dancing across interfaces. Station's automated systems are malfunctioning. Wait, I'm getting an emergency broadcast. The screen flickered, showing a Vexteri official whose feathered crest stood fully erect, their species' expression of extreme alarm. Earth vessel, we have a critical situation. Station experiencing cascading systems failure. Life support compromised in most sectors. Your docking bay remains stable but isolated. Evacuation underway. Communication systems failing. Will re-establish contact when. The transmission cut abruptly to static. Can you raise them again? Maya asked, professional calm masking her concern. The pilot tried multiple channels. Nothing. And our long-range communications are being blocked by some kind of interference. Maya processed this rapidly. Options: stay docked and wait for rescue, or attempt to reach the emergency evacuation pods on level 3. This bay's environmental systems are functioning, but if they fail, Maya understood the implications. If life support failed, they'd suffocate or freeze depending on which system went first. The shuttle had limited emergency reserves. "How many crew on this station?" she asked. "About 300, mostly Vexteri, some council representatives." Maya made her decision. "We need to help with evacuation if possible. Pilot, secure the shuttle and be ready for emergency departure. I'll try to reach command and coordinate. Ambassador, with respect, that's not protocol. We should wait for." "There are 300 lives at risk." Maya cut him off. "I'm going." What Maya didn't realize was that there was no actual emergency. The station operated at minimal capacity, populated only by observers and remote control systems. Every corridor, every chamber had been carefully prepared to test human capabilities against scenarios designed by the Council's top xenobiologists. Maya equipped herself with a standard emergency kit: portable atmosphere analyzer, light source, basic medical supplies, and communication device. The airlock cycled open to reveal a dimly lit corridor where emergency lighting cast eerie red shadows. Her atmosphere analyzer showed breathable air but dropping temperature. She moved purposefully toward where station schematics indicated the main control center would be, passing abandoned workstations and equipment. In the observation chamber, Counselor Saru watched with clinical interest. "Note how she moves," he instructed his team. "Continuous scanning of surroundings, regular checking of exit routes, predator awareness patterns." "But she's also stopping to check life sign detectors," observed a Chrysalian analyst. "Looking for survivors. That's altruistic behavior, or ensuring no threats remain," countered Saru. "Proceed to Phase 2. Maya had just reached a junction when the corridor behind her sealed shut with an emergency bulkhead. Simultaneously, warning lights flashed as atmospheric pressure began dropping ahead. Without hesitation, she sprinted forward, diving through a rapidly closing emergency door and rolling to her feet on the other side. The maneuver would have been impressive for a trained Vexteri security officer. Maya had performed it without apparent thought. The observers murmured in surprise. "Physical reflexes exceeding prediction models by 22%, noted an analyst. Maya continued through increasingly hazardous sections of the station. When a corridor floor partially collapsed, she calculated the jump distance instantly and cleared the gap. When emergency fire suppression systems erroneously activated, flooding a chamber with chemical foam, she held her breath for nearly 2 minutes while navigating through blindly. In the observation chamber, Saru's scales had shifted to a deep blue of concentration. Remarkable oxygen efficiency, and she's maintaining direction despite disorientation tactics. The next challenge came when Maya encountered a section where artificial gravity had failed. Floating objects created an obstacle course between her and the next sealed door. Using the walls for leverage, she propelled herself through the zero-gravity environment with surprising skill. "Has she trained for zero-G conditions?" asked one observer. "Her file indicates only standard diplomatic preparation," replied another. 2 simulator sessions, neither involving emergency scenarios." Saru's eyes narrowed. Adaptive learning. They truly do improvise effectively. As Maya progressed deeper into the station, the tests grew more demanding. Temperature extremes. Toxic gas warnings requiring oxygen mask use, a section where she had to crawl through maintenance tunnels when primary corridors became impassable. Through it all, she maintained focus on her objective: reach command, coordinate evacuation, ensure no one was left behind. The observers noted that she never once considered retreat to the safety of her shuttle. "The endurance is just as Ambassador Zartak reported," Saru observed. "She should be showing fatigue by now." The final test involved a section where Maya encountered an apparently injured Vexteri crew member. actually a sophisticated biomechanical puppet controlled remotely. "Help, please," the injured alien gasped, its damaged leg leaking synthetic fluid designed to mimic Vexteri blood. Without hesitation, Maya knelt beside the injured alien, applying emergency medical treatment using her kit. The wound was positioned so that helping would expose her to potential attack, a classic predator trap scenario. "Please, leave me," the puppet urged weakly. "Save yourself." "Not happening," Maya replied firmly, fashioning a makeshift pressure bandage. "Can you move if I support you?" When the puppet indicated it could not, Maya did something unexpected. She lifted the Vexteri, a species considerably larger than humans, using a firefighter's carry technique, and continued forward, now significantly encumbered but refusing to abandon the injured crew member. In the observation chamber, even Saru appeared impressed. "Physical strength exceeding parameters," noted an analyst. "And this protective behavior toward a completely different species, a predator protecting potential prey?" questioned another observer skeptically. "No," Saru said softly. "Something we didn't anticipate. Proceed to final phase." Maya had nearly reached the command center when all remaining systems appeared to fail simultaneously. Emergency lighting extinguished, plunging her into total darkness. Life support warnings blared before cutting off mid-alarm. Her atmosphere analyzer showed rapidly dropping oxygen levels. She activated her emergency light and continued forward, still carrying the injured alien. When she finally reached the command center doors, they remained sealed despite her override attempts. Most species would have abandoned hope. Maya simply set down her burden carefully and began examining alternative entry methods, eventually locating a manual emergency release that required significant physical strength to activate. As the doors finally opened, lights came up to reveal not a damaged command center, but a fully operational observation room filled with council representatives. Directly ahead stood Counselor Saru, watching her with an unreadable expression. Understanding dawned on Maya's face, followed by something the observers had not expected: anger. "This was a test," she stated, her voice dangerously controlled. "Indeed," Saru acknowledged. "One you have completed most instructively." Maya gently lowered the now inert puppet to the floor before facing the council representatives. "You endangered my pilot, potentially traumatized your station crew with false alarms, and wasted critical diplomatic time. All to what? See how humans perform under pressure. To understand what you truly are," Saru replied. "Ambassador Zartak's report classified humans as Class 1 adaptive predators, yet your diplomatic corps presented yourselves as peaceful explorers. The council required verification." Maya's expression hardened. "So you created a false emergency to see if we would. What? Attack? Retreat? Reveal some hidden predatory nature?" "Partially," admitted Saru. "Though your performance exceeded all projections. You demonstrated physical capabilities beyond your frame size, environmental adaptability, and most unexpectedly, protective behavior toward other species even at personal risk." "That's called being human," Maya replied sharply. "We help others in danger. It's not a remarkable trait where I come from." This statement caused visible discomfort among several observers. "You understand," Saru continued, "that your species represents an anomaly. Predator species rarely develop cooperative civilizations. They typically remain tribal and territorially aggressive. Yet humans combine predator physiology with altruistic behavior patterns, usually seen only in social prey species." Maya took a deliberate breath, visibly controlling her anger. "Counselor, humans evolved as social predators. Cooperation was survival. We protected our weak, carried our injured, and defended our young together. That's not contradictory to our nature. It is our nature." She gestured toward the puppet. "I didn't carry that Vexteri despite being a predator. I carried them because humans are predators who decided that strength creates responsibility, not privilege." Silence filled the chamber as the observers processed this perspective. Finally, Saru spoke. The Council will need to create an entirely new classification category. You are neither what we expected nor what we feared. You are something not previously documented in galactic records. We're just people, Maya said tiredly. Complex, contradictory, flawed people who are trying to find our place in a very large universe. Next time, you could just ask. 3 days later, Maya sat across from Earth's ambassador in a secure briefing room back on Earth. They'd proposed a new treaty, the ambassador explained, sliding a data tablet toward her. With unprecedented concessions regarding Earth's autonomous defense rights and territorial sovereignty, apparently, you made quite an impression. Maya scanned the document, noting classification terminology she didn't recognize. What's a protected autonomous sentinel species? The ambassador smiled slightly. It's a new category they created just for us. Essentially, they're acknowledging that humans have both the capability and instinct to protect others, even non-humans. They've offered us a unique role in Council security operations and emergency response. Because I carried a puppet through a fake emergency. Because you demonstrated what humanity has always been. Predators who chose to become protectors instead. The Council hasn't encountered that evolutionary pathway before. Maya set down the tablet thoughtfully. So what happens now? Now, the ambassador's smile widened. Now the galaxy has to reconsider everything they thought they knew about predator species, and humanity gets to show them what we've always known, that being dangerous and being destructive are not the same thing. In the decades that followed, humans became renowned throughout galactic society, not for their strength or endurance alone, but for their unique capacity to use predator capabilities for protection rather than dominance. Earth's emergency response teams deployed to disaster zones across dozens of worlds. Human security consultants revolutionized Council defense protocols. And throughout the galaxy, a new saying emerged among spacefaring species when faced with seemingly impossible challenges. Send in the humans. They're predators who decided to save lives instead of take them. In the end, what made humans unique was not that every civilian was a predator. It was that every predator had chosen to become a guardian instead.